That's crap. Crap. More crap. Complete crap.
This comic book sucks. Oh. Hi there, ladies and gentlemen. I am Jonah Jameson, chief and editor of the Daily Bugle, and multi-voice reviewer, you know, the one who has many voices but one opinion. All of a sudden, he asked me over to review Spider-Man for him. Since he just cannot handle the Spider-Man whole thing anymore, he decided to bring me over to review it. So therefore, I, Jonah Jameson, am going to be proving to you folks that Spider-Man is a menace to society. And I'll prove it. Now many people know that Stan Lee and Steve Ditko created the Amazing Spider-Man from Amazing Fantasy. And then after that, Spider-Man appeared with the Fantastic Four. And it became one of the most greatest stories in the world. And much to my amazement, there is also a live-action TV series, which was short-lived, a lot of cartoon series, and also, there was a Japanese Spider-Man. Except this Japanese Spider-Man, he has a Zord. So this Spider-Man becomes, a Power Ranger? That's beyond my knowledge. Now, I can really talk about something. I mean, Multi-Voice Reviewer already reviewed the Sam Raimi trilogies. And for those of you who haven't seen the Sam Raimi trilogy, maybe I'll put a link in the bottom. Or he will. And don't get me started with the Amazing Spider-Man sequel. The Amazing Spider-Man movies, they were crap. They suck. They were really terrible. But of course, I would recommend these video games. Back in the early 2000s from PlayStation, Spider-Man Evolves the Symbiotes. And of course, Enter Electro, Spider-Man 2, which was okay. But the first one was better. And of course, some of you probably know about his origin, but I'll briefly talk about it. As it turns out, Spider-Man was nothing more but, Peter Parker. Imagine that. He was a science student, not exactly popular, but bullied by that bully who goes by the name of Flash Thompson. But sooner or later, he decided to be more heroic. Raised by his Aunt May and his Uncle Ben. Now I'll talk about Aunt. One thing I was pretty amazed of, that Aunt May was played by Marissa Tomei. And one thing I gotta say about this, Peter's aunt has got it going on. Peter's aunt has got it going on. It's too bad I'm married, or else I would have asked Peter's Aunt May out on a date. If things are not going too well between her and Happy. Oh well. As it turns out, Peter Parker was bitten by a radioactive spider. A radioactive spider that gives him superpowers. And he decided with his spider ability, now he doesn't shoot web like they did in the Sam Raimi movies. Oh no. In the original comic books, he made his own web. He invented it. He invented his specialized web. Although he has spider sense and climate abilities. But of course, he didn't think about being a superhero to the beginning. One thing he did, he decided to become famous, be a huge celebrity. Doesn't care about nobody but himself. until all of a sudden there was a crook who showed up, yelling out, "Stop, thief, stop him!" And everybody was mad at him, but he was like, "I missed the part where that's my problem." But it turns out that that crook killed his Uncle Ben. Now he feels pretty bad about Uncle Ben, that he meets the crook who killed his uncle, and it turns out it was the one who killed his uncle. It was the one that he let escape in the first place. So now he quits becoming a superhero and now becomes a vigilante. A criminal. That's what he is. A vigilante. Now, of course, everybody knows about his girlfriend on oh yes. Everybody remembers from the Sam Raimi movies, Mary J. The lovely, saucy little redhead. But not many people know there were other girls he met before. Huh! He's also in a relationship with Betty Brant. And that there is Liz. Gwen Stacy. Deborah Whiteman. But anyway, enough about the Sam Raimi Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man. Let's get to the ones I'm supposed to be talking about. Spider-Man Homecoming and Far From Home. One thing I know for sure, it takes place after Captain America's Civil War. That's good cigar. Anyway, after the Civil War deal, where now Captain America is no longer with the Avengers, Tony Stark decided to thank him for all of his hard work, and therefore let him keep the suit. And then he starts noticing a lot of weird things kept happening. Now, although he has his friend here, his best friend Ned here. Of course, now Peter Parker is 15, and so is his friend Ned, and they made him Filipino all of a sudden. Him and Ned were best friends, and turns out that Peter Parker has a huge crush on that girl who goes by the name of Liz. You know, the Liz from the book I showed you. But little does she know there's this girl who goes by the name of Michelle. Well, spoilers, it turns out she's Mary Jane. Now, that's one thing I have a problem here. I mean, a lot of people always complain about whitewashing the character. I mean, every character gets to play by every character in the comic book or an anime, they're either Asian or black, and they get played by a white person. And now, but nobody's not complaining about a black actor playing a white character. What's up with that? Somewhere we're living in, you know? Anyway, he secretly becomes Spider-Man and tried to do some good in the streets. Until Ned saw him and discovered that he is Spider-Man. And he also gets picked on by that bully, Flash Thompson. Which, for those of you who are wondering what he looks like, this is Flash Thompson right here. He's an all-around popular jock. And that's his story. Wait a minute. Right here on the books. He invented his own web and a web shooter and a belt to keep all of his web cartridges. Imagine that. Anyway, he starts noticing that there's a bunch of crooks who've been stealing the alien device from Tony Stark. And they're making their own weapons out of it. And that's when we start introducing the first villain in this movie. And that villain is... There we go. The Vulture. Who goes by the name Adrian Toomes. And not what Peter Parker knew, that Liz is the Vulture's daughter. And how the story goes, that Adrian Toomes and his men, they're supposed to be a cleanup crew, supposed to be cleaning up after what happened at the Avengers. It turns out they kept some of the alien technology because a group of other cleaners who works by Tony Stark, they told them that they're no longer part of the cleanup crew because they've been replaced by Stark Industries. But they kept the weapon and tried to sell it to the highest bidder. And what this Vulture trying to do is trying to get all the technology from Stark and selling them all to anybody who wants money. And not many people know that there is this one kid. He has a nephew, and his nephew is Miles Morales. And for those of you who don't know, Miles Morales is from Ultimate Spider-Man. Now, what I have here was the first issue of Spider-Man where it's Peter Parker. But in the later issue, it turns out Peter Parker dies, and Miles Morales, who is Hispanic and black, he takes over as Spider-Man in the Ultimate. Now, I haven't seen the Spider-Man Spider-Verse, but I will watch that and probably maybe review it if I ask Multi-Voice Reviewer a chance for me to return. And for those of you who's still not convinced that Spider-Man is a menace, you're fired! I want pictures of Spider-Man with his hands in the cookie jar. Because he's still a menace no matter what. Even if he works with the Avengers, he's still a menace. Now, of course, the Vulture is not the only bad guy he has to deal with. He also has to deal with another guy. I didn't find him in this book, so I'll find him in another book. Give me a sec. Ah, there he is. The Shocker. Right here. Now, he has these devices. It creates a static shock. A static shock that it would, well, pretty much shocks everybody. Very shocking, if you ask me. But seriously. Anyway, he finally realizes that the girl that he has a crush on, Liz, her father was a Vulture. And the Vulture figured out that Peter Parker was Spider-Man. So he tries to give him give him a warning. Be in the homecoming party with his daughter and dance with her and show her a good time. But if he interferes with him, he will kill him and those he loves. But sadly, Shocker showed up and tried to kill Spider-Man, but his friend Ned saved him. And when he was about ready to deal with the Vulture hit all the beams to collapse the ceiling right on top of him. Ugh, that's gotta be terrible. And of course, I was surprised that the Vulture was played by Michael Keaton. Michael Batman Beetlejuice himself, Keaton. Imagine that. Anyway, after the deal with the Vulture tries to steal Stark's technology since he's moving all of his stuff to a new building, which it turns out is going to be the new headquarters for the Avengers. And also, he was going to steal all of them so he can sell them, but Spider-Man stopped him, once and for all. And then he crashed a plane, and noticing that the Vulture's ring was about ready to blow up, so he saved his life. And now he's arrested. But he still knows who Spider-Man is. But he ain't gonna tell. I guess he has a trick up his sleeve. Somehow. And then let's get to the second movie. Far From Home. Now on this one, it turns out that he has a new enemy involved, but it starts out he thinks he's the hero. And this new hero, and the so-called former hero, is none other than my son, the astronaut, Jonah Jameson, who all of a sudden found a rock and turned into a werewolf-like creature, who calls himself Man-Wolf. I don't know what my son was thinking when he got that rock. He should be a hero, the way I always admired him to be. A hero do not need to wear a mask. I don't trust heroes with masks. All got something to do with my dad. My dad was a war hero, but after the war, he was an alcoholic. But now, I don't trust heroes who wears masks because they always think they're above the law. The real heroes are the cops, the firemen, the soldiers, and also the doctors in the hospitals. Doctors and nurses. They're the real heroes. Anyway, the bad guy they're dealing with is, well, at first he says that he is a hero and he's from an alternate world, but he lies. His name is Mysterio. And Mysterio here, his name is Quentin Beck. But on his origin, it turns out that he used to work with Tony Stark. He used to work with Tony Stark until Tony Stark, he just made fun of his holographic designs. And he also met a bunch of other people that Tony Stark did wrong. So now they're all working together to make him look like a hero and try to destroy Nick Fury from S.H.I.E.L.D. Now that's just terrible. So Spider-Man has to go and stop him. And he also tells Mary Jane that he really loves her. Going all the way to all these foreign countries, to Italy, among others. You know, they should bring some SpiderWoman around here, you know? Oh yeah, and also, Mary Jane figured out that Parker was Spider-Man all along. She starts picking up the pieces, like the reason why Peter Parker always keeps disappearing every single time. Wondering where he's been going. But back to the thing. One thing I think they should introduce is all these Spider-Women. Anyway, after he battled against Mysterio and his Master of Illusion, he made the news where it looks like he was the bad guy now. That Spider-Man was the bad guy instead of Mysterio. And all of a sudden, the Daily Bugle tell the news by me. Hey, look at this handsome devil. But as it turns out, he was helping to save Nick Fury and Agent Hill. But little do they know, after the credits, it turns out that Agent Hill and Nick Fury were actually Skrulls in disguise. I'm sure Multi-Voice Reviewer will explain about the Skrulls on Captain Marvel. Because I heard he really wants to review that. They told Nick Fury that he needs to come back. Because they have a huge problem. That Spider-Man has been ridiculed. But I'll tell you one thing. If they're going to make a third Spider-Man movie, let us hope they're not going to base it from this comic book, Spider-Man One More Day. This is the one where he deals with the devil. The worst comic book ever made. What is this doing here? I want it out of here. Out. Out, 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 out. But hey, One thing I discovered that
Hello, I am Eddie Brock. They call me the symbiote, and they made a movie about me.
So, they finally made a movie about me and it extended my legacy. And of course, I'm played by Tom Harding, who is a whole lot better than Topher Grace. I mean, who thought that the kid from that 70s show is going to play me? But anyway, now I hear there's going to make a sequel, and I'm going to be dealing with Carnage, and probably I deal with Spider-Man on Venom 2. And I really do hate J. Jonah Jameson. So this is Eddie Brock saying,
See you later, ladies and gentlemen.
Did somebody showed up in my show?
well, since I heard about the Venom part, does that mean they're going to be doing the Maximum Carnage? Now that was a best-selling comic book ever made, especially with Carnage involved, aka Eddie Brock. And I also heard that Woody Harrelson is going to be playing Cletus Cassidy, who also is Carnage. Now, one thing I know about Carnage, that he is a sociopathic serial killer who has a symbiote, and he's using it to kill people and have fun. And you know, I think Spider-Man should have a sidekick. I mean, I think somebody should have a little kid who wants to be his sidekick. Maybe like a Spider Kid or Spider Boy or someone like that. Like that one here. Where did this come from? Hey! Get out of here! Sorry about that. Anyway, my thoughts about Spider-Man Homecoming and Far From Home. They're alright. I just hate Spider-Man, but I do love the ending in the middle of the credits on Far From Home. That's where I showed up and tell everybody that Spider-Man is a menace to society. And I also heard that they're going to be doing another movie that's going to tie in with Spider-Man. And that is Morbius, the living vampire. Great, now we're going to have vampires involved? This is getting too much for me to handle. Anyway, I'm J. Jonah Jameson, and for those of you who likes this review of Spider-Man, Homecoming, and Far From Home, please leave a comment down below, hit like, and subscribe. And if you don't like it, you're fired! Now, if you don't mind, I'm gonna do one of the famous bloopers from the Spider-Man movie. Struck up by his web! I want a new prop! One more thing I forgot to mention. I also heard that they're planning to do a what if? I got a what if for you. What if Marvel do an episode where I become Spider-Man? Think about it. How about I get bit by a radioactive spider, and I'll go around with my Spider-Man suit going all, take that, crooks. I am Spider Jameson. I'm your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man now. And you crooks don't have a chance with Spider Jameson. Now that would be awesome.